I'm so hard on myself because listen, I'm like, this is not the same angle I had the last time, is it? I don't know, but honey, my chin is chinning. And it wasn't chinning that bad the last time. But that's just me. It's because I had my hair pinned up and I got the bonnet. Probably. But anyways, we back with another episode, y'all. So I did leave y'all with a little bit of homework from the first episode. And that was to figure it out. Who are you? So I gotta ask. Did you figure it out yet? Did you come to that conclusion? Has it been made clear to you now? It probably was long before you watched this video, but if you figured it out since the last episode, I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad that you're back. Welcome back. Okay? Bring some friends with you that have discovered the same thing, because we're not going to go too much into that anymore because we already know, right? We don't have to hold each other's hand to get there. When the student is ready, the teacher appears. So you've already gotten your confirmation, right? That you know who you are. You're confident in that. You're ready to walk in that. All right, cool. Because it's about to get deep. It's about to get real deep. And I'm going to go ahead and send my apologies ahead of time because I know I'm a very direct, straight to the point type of person. And I don't like to sugarcoat things. But don't get me wrong. I'm not mean. I don't want to come off as too abrasive. But sometimes it can seem that way. It's just that I'm very direct. So some things I might say about this next topic may rub some people the wrong way. It may trigger you. I'm pretty sure it's going to trigger a lot of people, but trust and believe, when I came to my awakening, I was triggered as fuck as well. So I'm just saying, you ain't the only one triggered, baby, because to know the truth, to really know the truth, it sets you free, but it pisses you off. It really does. That's just the bottom line. It's going to piss you off. It's going to piss you off, but I'm not the person you need to be pissed off with. All I'm going to do is tell you to just go do your research, okay? I'll try to post or include as many resources as possible, but at the same time, I don't want to give you too much because you can give people all the facts and the material for them to know for themselves, and they still won't use it. They still won't look at it. They still won't accept it. It's like so it's like I'm not gonna do the legwork for you. I'll give you a little bit, okay? Because I went and seek the information myself, okay? Just being honest, I went and seeked it for myself. But anyways, it was very important that we figure out who we were at our core before walking into this discussion. And the discussion that I want to talk about right now is spirituality versus religion, or how can I say it? Organized religion, not just Christianity, not just Muslim, not just Buddhism, just organized religion in general. Okay. And why I chose the spiritual route. Now, a lot of people get it confused when you say, "Oh, I'm spiritual." They're thinking that you're talking about Christian or something like that, or you're into the church. But spiritual doesn't necessarily mean that. I'm not the Bible thumping type of spiritualist. No, I'm not that type. I'm the type, I like candles. I say affirmations. I burn sage. I carry my crystals. I'm that type of spiritual. Okay. Now, don't get me wrong. Do not get me wrong. I grew up in the church. Okay, as a matter of fact, my grandfather on my mother's side was a pastor. I was in church probably 4 or 5 days out of the week for years. And I didn't have a choice growing up. Like going to church, oh, it's not you gonna stay home today. We going to church. Bible study, we going to church. I was that type of church brought up, okay? And it's so crazy. It's like I've experienced I've had a spiritual experience before really fully getting to know Christianity or religion, if that makes sense. And I'll explain deeper. But honestly, going to church, the church is what led me to spirituality, basically. I've always questioned things. I've told y'all this in the last episode, I think. But I always question things. I never really just accepted things for what I mean, I accept it, but I question stuff. Y'all ever notice how when kids get to a certain age, and I haven't really noticed it a lot lately, but usually when kids get to a certain age, they ask the question why a lot. Like they question everything. Have y'all noticed that over the years that kids are not doing that anymore? There's a reason for that. There's a reason. Like kids will literally ask you why the sky is blue. And you would have to give this child an explanation. You have to give them some type of explanation, because if not, they just gonna ask another question why. They just need to get down to why, right? I was that type of kid. So going to church, I always question things that we talked about in the Bible when there, because there's so much in it that's so contradicting to me, right? And when I get an answer, they'll say, well, basically, I just get led to another scripture. But then that scripture would just contradict something here in the Bible. It's like, well, God ain't a God of confusion. Well, why the hell am I confused? Because, yeah, this ain't making sense. The reason being is because Christianity is a man made religion. We all know that. Okay. Religion, for one, was only created to control the masses. So, Christian, you'll notice, like, even if you study religion, different religions, you'll find so many similarities in religion. The only thing that changed is the location and the names. That's it. Christianity is like the newest religion there is. I think it's only like 2,000 years old or something like that. I ain't looked up no hardcore facts, but I can. I know how to find it. I've looked it up before. But it's a very new religion, right? So when I say Christianity is what led me back to spirituality, what I mean is just going through life in general and questioning things, because some of our ancestors didn't. It was just passed down generation to generation. You went to church or whatever, right? But actually this started back before slavery. Okay, when I started to go down my loophole and getting answers to the questions that I had to look back past before slavery, okay, to really figure it out. But as I got through the timeline, looking into slavery and all that, that's when it hit me. That's when it really hit me. It's like, wow. I want to say at the time, this was like early 2016, 2017. Now, I've always questioned religion or Christianity, right? But I want to say it was around 2017 that I really stumbled upon the thing that just made me say, you know what? I have to denounce Christianity altogether. I want to say it was Juneteenth, right? Now, I was living in Texas at the time. I'm not from Texas, I'm from Louisiana, but I was living in Texas at the time, and they were throwing this huge Juneteenth celebration. Everybody's talking about Juneteenth, Juneteenth, Juneteenth. Now, I know history. I did pretty good in school with history, and I would probably get snatched up if I didn't know, because one of my high school history teachers is actually the principal at my son's school today. But I didn't recall what Juneteenth was for some reason. I'm pretty sure we discussed it, but for some reason I just could not recall what Juneteenth was all about. Well, for the ones that don't know, Juneteenth is the day that African Americans were released from slavery. That's when they found out they were released from slavery. You were free, right? So I went down the rabbit hole of finding out what Juneteenth was all about, how it all came about, whoop the whoop. And y'all, when I tell y'all that rabbit hole took me so deep, it took me so deep. I mean, deep. Some of the things I came across, it's like, wow, it blows your freaking mind. You already know, and some people don't. I don't know why you wouldn't by now, but for the majority, we know what our ancestors endured during slavery. We know the mistreatment. We know the slayings and the hangings, all of that. We know about everything that they endured for the most part, right? Now, when we talking about belief, okay, a lot of people say, well, if God is real, Jesus is real, why would he allow slavery? You know, it really used to rub me the wrong way when people would look at me and be like, oh, you spiritual, or you must worship the devil, or you worship the moon. That's demonic. Like they say all these derogatory things about spirituality and crystals, sage or whatever. But they're not knowing that this was used prior to your religion. And this is the very thing that helped my ancestors survive slavery. You understand? Anything, no matter what it is, it's all about intent. Anything can be used for good or bad. Hell, I see a lot of bad shit coming out of the church right now. Okay? Just because it looks one way on the outside doesn't mean that it's all about intention. Okay? It can be used to bring you up or it can be used to bring you down. I mean, it's just about your intention. It's not demonic. I've never disrespected a Christian for not questioning what it is that they're practicing. I simply take it as they just don't know. They have no clue. They're just doing what their parents did and their parents did. Nobody questioned it. But when you're talking about the age of, we're coming out of the age of Pisces now. Everything is about spirituality in the age of Pisces. But the age of Aquarius, people are waking the fuck up. Like, we're asking why. Where does this stem from? We're waking up. Stem that. Monitoring spirit. But yeah, just because I don't practice a certain religion doesn't make me demonic, doesn't make me a devil worshiper. I have a good side and I have a bad side, just like everybody else. You piss me off enough, you may get to meet it, my bad side. Okay, that's with anybody. But I don't use my belief or my practices to put other people down. I don't. Like I said in the first video, I consider myself a healer, not someone out here that's trying to come up with my own selfish needs. I'm not here to do that. That's not my purpose. But you have some that are, that's their purpose. They're just here to distract and destroy. But there has to be some of that because that's the only way to have balance. There's always going to be some good and there's always going to be some bad. That's called balance. That's my odds. Okay? And like things have been so off kilter lately, so off balance, like it has to come crashing down. So it's that's why it's important that you wake up and realize who it is that you really truly are, because it's time for another revolution, y'all, whether you want to accept it or not. It's time. My apologies, y'all. I had to cut that video because I was about to get really emotional. But people always ask, well, if there's really a God and there's really good in this world, why would slavery even exist? And The answer to that question is super deep. It's really deep. But on a surface level, like I said, it really predates prior to slavery. What did our ancestors do before slavery? They don't teach us in school that they were kings and queens and gods and goddesses. They don't teach us that, you know. I mean, you get off into that, but it's like they make it. Well, when I was growing up, they make it seem like it was the other races that were doing all these great things in Egypt and all this here, but it really was the melanated ones that was doing all these great things, that were building the pyramids and all of that, that were studying astrology and, using plants for medicine and living to be hundreds and hundreds of years old because they were living off the land. That's what we were doing before slavery. Okay. It wasn't until somebody let one of them other motherfuckers in. Somebody let one of the motherfuckers in at the picnic. Okay. They smiled in their face, and trading and all that was still big. It's very big then, and it's still very big now. But it started with as a kind gesture. In the beginning, people explored different lands. There were already melanated people here in the United States, but it started as a favor for a favor, right? And then it turned because people became greedy. A certain set of people, I will say, became very greedy and wanted to control. So before slavery, anyone who wasn't from this land, the United States, they would come over. You will work as an indigenous servant. You will work as a servant for so many years, and then you gain your little green card or your citizenship or whatever. And you're free to explore the United States however you want. You can open up a business, you can do whatever. And this is not just for blacks. This is for the Irish. This is for all types of people, the Chinese, all of them, right? That's how it was in the beginning. And people prospered. Okay, they did great things, no doubt. But they noticed something with the super melanated ones, aka the blacks. These people were a little different. Like they had something about them that was just different from other people, right? They noticed that. They got a lot of work out of us. Good work. And when you're greedy, you don't want to lose a good thing like that. You greedy, you want to use it to your advantage. So they decided to make it a law that, okay, we're going to have them born into slavery now. No more of them coming over and they work for a while and then they're free. We want to keep them in slavery and make it a law. And that's what they did. They made it a law. So whatever beliefs you had from wherever you came from prior to that got wiped away. It got swiped. It's like, no, we ain't doing that here. You gonna do this and you gonna work. So, I mean, I don't understand why a lot of Christians don't ask themselves, and it's just a simple question. Why people don't ask themselves, for me to be sitting here claiming to be a Christian and my ancestors were slaves. Why is it that their slave owners did not want them to read or write, but they handed you a Bible? There was a motive for that. They handed you a Bible because they wanted to control the way you think. And we all know that Bible, the Hiblios Biblios, has been rewritten so many times. There's so many different versions. Now, I'm not saying that there is not any truth in that book, because it is. A lot of the information that's in there is borrowed from other religions. Okay, some of it has some truth to it. Some of it they twist and turn. A lot of it they just fed it to you backwards. Okay, it's a major mind fuck. That's what it is. And it all stemmed from greed. and the want and the need to divide and conquer. Religion, in my opinion, it does more dividing than it does us coming together. I mean, so many people are, focused on what religion is the right religion. Is there one God and only one God that you're supposed to be worshiping? But at the end of the day, we're all really just one consciousness. That's how it's always been. We're all just one consciousness. Okay? Now everything did stem from darkness. Okay? Everything stems from darkness, but we're all just one consciousness. That's it, that's all. But spiritual awakening for me, whoo, honey, it was not anything pretty at all. It was not enjoyable. It wasn't. And you go through multiple spiritual awakenings, honestly. When you're on this path, you have multiple spiritual awakenings. But that very first one, once you really see, look at this net, monitoring spirit. Once you really see the truth, it's gonna piss you off. It's really gonna piss you off. It will. It will really piss you off. But it's at the same time, it's gonna set you free. You're gonna be so free. But it's like all at once. You're gonna go through. You're gonna experience so much all at once. You're gonna feel lonely. You're gonna feel scared. You're gonna stop eating. Like I almost starved myself to death at one point because I just did not trust eating anything. But it's an emotional roller coaster for real. But you're not alone in the journey. Although we have unique paths that we have to walk, you're never alone on this journey ever. That's why it's very, very important that you stay true to your authentic self. Because when you're being 100% yourself, you're going to automatically attract those people who are like minded, who are on that same path as you. As long as you're pretending to be something that you're not, you will never find them. Just like you found this video and the last video. If you weren't seeking the knowledge, you would have never came across it. That's why I don't like to just give people resources. I'll give you some, but it's up to you to go out there and get the knowledge because it's out there. It really is. It's out there. Now, I don't know how long I've been ranting on this video because there's so much more I could say, but I don't want to hold y'all for too long because I always want to try to leave you with something that's going to make you think, but I want to leave you with something that's coming at you at a different tone because maybe my tone don't resonate, but someone else's tone will. But we're saying the same things. We're saying the exact same things. Now, I did go see Sinners on Easter, and I know everybody talking about Sinners, and trust and believe, I'm not going to say anything any different. I absolutely loved the movie. I absolutely loved it. It was a great piece of art. Very great. They did their damn thing with Sinners. Okay? But those that get it, get it. They get it. And those that don't, they don't. And that's okay as well. Because guess what? They're not gonna get it. And they're not supposed to get it. It's not meant for everybody to understand and get. But the ones that get it, y'all get it. And you know why you get it. Because you're waking up now. You're waking up to some truth now. And it's always been in your face. It's just now that you see it better. It's a lot clearer. So when you finally accept that, that's when you're gonna rise. Forget he has risen, you have risen. Okay? That's what it's about. Hold on, y'all. It's the kiddo. Okay, so the kiddo has made it home from school, but it's in the freezer, baby. I'm not gonna hold y'all for too much longer because I gotta tend to the kiddo. But I want y'all, there's something I want y'all to dwell on. I'm gonna leave y'all with a little piece that's gonna have you thinking. So let me know what you think in the comments. And I'll see you on the next one.
There were 15 major theological religious movements in the world before Christianity that taught exactly the same identical story of a Messiah who came to the earth, who was born in a manger, who died on a cross, who had 12 apostles, who died with a crown of thorns. Are you aware that there were 15 major religions that had the same identical teachings of Christianity? Most people aren't. And I'm very suspect of a 16th religion, which is copied off of 15 previous religions, and I am told that this one is the truth. I become very suspect. Of course, God's son, S-U-N, the Egyptians said had an evil brother. He was the prince of darkness. And he came out at night to rule the world. When God's son died and went away, the world was in the hands of the prince of darkness. And his name was Set. And he came out at sunset. The Egyptians said that that newborn sun that came up every morning, his name was Horus. In Easter, we have Easter sunrise services, or Horus Rising. That's where we get the word horizon. I'm saying that there are 15 major religions in the world before Christianity that have taught the same thing. It is a very ancient, old story. That's why the Bible's called the greatest story ever told.
As a Christian, I could never watch Sinners because that's too demonic. Is that right? You want to know what I find demonic? The pastor's wife ironing his shirt and pants to get him ready to go see his side chick because God told her to. I find that demonic. You know what I find demonic? The fact that your pastor owns a helicopter, a mansion, and pulls up to church every Sunday in a Rolls Royce when the majority of their congregation pulls up from the city bus. I find that demonic. You want to know what I find demonic? Everyone in the congregation knowing how their pastor gets down with little boys and little girls, and yet y'all look the other way and still show up to that church every Sunday. I find that demonic, okay? You know what I find demonic? Expecting for the choir director to go above and beyond every Sunday and leading the choir in praise and worship while simultaneously telling that same choir director that he's going to hell for his sexuality. I find that demonic. You want to know what I find demonic? The fact that back in the day, slave masters did not want us to read nor write, but gave us Bibles and allowed us to have church. I find that demonic. And you want to know what I find demonic? The fact that for centuries, Christianity has been a tool in colonization, mass unalivings, rapes, and other heinous acts. Yet so many of y'all find more solace and safetiness in a white Jesus than you do the spiritual practices of our ancestors. I find that demonic. Yeah. And this is not me shaming those who are Christians. Believe in what you want to believe in. But as somebody who is spiritual and denounced Christianity a very long time ago, I can't help but find it to be extremely hypocritical to listen to some of y'all complain about how sinners is just so demonic when I've seen firsthand how y'all get down in the church, especially the Southern Baptist Church. Like, how's about we all relax? Yeah? All right.